Okay, so I hope you've had a bit of a chance to look at the brick rod and familiarize yourself with brickwork dimensions. What I'll do now is just do a bit more of a detailed discussion of why this is so important. I gather that so far you've been able to understand that a brick has a certain dimension, which is your 230 by 110 by 76. Now, the reason it's important to work to these dimensions is because it is inconvenient and also expensive to be cutting bricks either vertically or horizontally, particularly expensive to cut horizontally. Now, the reason for that is, of course, the manual labor that's required and the skill that's required to cut those bricks. And the end result of a course of bricks that is cut is also very messy. So in that sense, it doesn't do very well for your design. Even if, for example, the brickwork is rendered over with concrete later, you still have problems when the brickwork is cut. So just to give you a bit of a more of a dictionary definition of what we're looking at when we look at a brick rod is effectively a set of measurements showing the height or length of brickwork of any number of whole or half bricks in length. So if you notice here, you've got the one set of brickwork and then 1.5 and so forth. On the job, the bricklayers will use an actual rod, so a brick rod, which is a piece of timber or metal marked with the heights of each course for setting out the courses as the work is laid. Lengths are set out with a tape by laying a brick at each end of the wall and stretching a string line between them and filling in between the end bricks. Now, this is when you're thinking about the bricks working in a horizontal fashion, you've got what's then called a closer brick, which is not your standard 230 mil length. It's either going to be longer or shorter than your 230 mil length, which tends to, that closer brick is effectively the second last brick from that first brick that you laid to set out the string. Now, if you're not sure what a closer brick looks like, then that's something else that you can Google. Just type in closer brick and it should give you a quick diagram to show you how closers are used to make up the length of a wall. So when the lengths are set out with tape, as you're saying, that the last brick laid is the one that is used as the set out. Now, the last brick laid at one end next to the end brick closes the course and is therefore called the closer brick. So the term closer usually refers to a brick cut to fit the available space before the last brick, but can also be applied when the set out allows full bricks to be used throughout. Now, that's in the horizontal, sort of lengthwise, but you also have to consider the brick rod as with the heights. So designing to a vertical brick rod in exact course heights is even more important than in the horizontal dimensions. And that's what, and as we were discussing before, it's much more difficult to cut horizontally across a brick than it is to cut down vertically. Now, cutting bricks for a part height of the course is more difficult because a brick saw is necessary. And it's also more unsightly. While closers within a course can be arranged so that they are never less than half a brick in length, a cut course does not have that option. So sometimes what you'll see is what's called a soldier course. Now, I've just tried to find one of those. Hang on. I think here. Soldier course is here. Okay, so what you'll find sometimes is that a soldier course is used as a way to get around this problem when the designer or the architect hasn't had the foresight to design with reference to the brick rod. So this is a very popular option for making up the height of a wall with using the soldier courses at the top. So the soldiers are the bricks laid vertically on end. So these guys are the soldiers, and therefore can be cut to any length this way. Okay. So the sizes of bricks vary from country to country, but Australian standards are fairly consistent across the building industry here in Australia. So the standard metric, which was what we looked at briefly before under the steg bar, is 2030 by 110 by 76 high. And the metric modular brick is 90 by 290 by 90 high. Okay. Although the dimensions of the standard brick are not obviously modular, when joints are added, each brick occupies 240 mil in length, and therefore a module of 600 mil or 1200 mil can be accommodated by full and half bricks. Okay, so that's probably the extent of the detail that I'll probably go into for brickwork, but it's very interesting actually, because bricks are so much a part of Australian building. We see your colonial buildings, your Federation buildings, and new buildings now are still being built with brick. So it's good to be familiar with how, for example, different types of brickworks can be laid. And you can very easily find this on many available product brochures, such as Boral, such as Stegbar, and you can look these up on Google to get a better idea.